welcome to lesson 9b, too much information. In this lesson, we're going to learn in grammar the quantifiers. In B, we'll talk about some electronic devices and phrasal verbs. In pronunciation, we are going to learn about the sounds of and odd, like linking sounds, okay? Too much information. Let's see, starting with grammar, quantifiers. Look at the illustration. How many electronic devices can you see? And which ones do you have? What do you use them for? As you can see here in this picture, there are lots of devices we can name, right? Answer these questions. B, circle the correct phrase. So pause the video and answer. Great, let's then check your answers. These are the answers. Okay, now let's go together to page 149 and learn more about the quantifiers. So here, starting with large quantities, I will play it. You will repeat the examples.
5.10. 1. My uncle and aunt have a lot of money.
Nina has lots of clothes.
2. James eats a lot. 3.
There aren't many cafes near here.
Do you have many close friends?
Do you watch much TV?
I don't eat much chocolate. 4.
Don't run. We have plenty of time.
Então vamos lá, sobre os quantifiers, né? Falando sobre quantidades em geral. Neste primeiro bloquinho aqui de exemplos, nós temos quantidades grandes, ok? Então aqui, sobre a lot of e lots of, ambos significando então muitos ou muito, ok? Então, a lot of significa muitos ou muito, né? Podendo ser usado tanto para substantivos contáveis como incontáveis. Lots of, por sua vez, nós usamos somente com substantivos contáveis, ou seja, geralmente, né, no plural, ok? A lot of e lots of geralmente é usado mais em frases afirmativas, ok? Porque many e much nós geralmente usamos preferencialmente para frases negativas e interrogativas, ok? Lembrando então que many, né, sempre com substantivos contáveis, né, no plural, e much com substantivos incontáveis, né, no singular, ok? No for, nós temos aqui também plenty of time. Então, nós vamos usar plenty of time em frases afirmativas, significando, então, more than enough, bastante, né? Mais do que o suficiente. We have plenty of time, ok? Nós temos muito tempo. Now, for small quantities, listen to these examples and repeat.
5.11. 1. Do you want some more ice cream?
Just a little.
The town only has a few movie theaters. 2.
I'm so busy that I have very little time for myself.
Sarah isn't popular and she has very few friends.
Então, agora, para quantidades pequenas, né, nós vamos usar a little e a few. Ok? Então, a little nós vamos usar sempre com substantivos incontáveis, tá? Geralmente significando, né, um pouco, tá? A few nós vamos usar, então, com substantivos contáveis, portanto, sempre no plural. Nós podemos também usar very little time ou very few friends, né? Ou very com little com substantivos incontáveis, né? E very few com substantivos contáveis, querendo dizer not much, né? No caso do little, very little, not much, ou very few, not many. Okay, great. Now, next we have more or less than you need. Listen to these examples and repeat.
5.12. 1,
I don't like this city. It's too big and it's too noisy.
2,
There's too much traffic and too much noise.
There are too many tourists and too many cars.
3,
There aren't enough parks and there aren't enough trees.
The buses aren't frequent enough.
The buses don't run frequently enough.
Ok, então aqui neste caso nós temos more or less than you need or want. É mais ou menos, é mais do que você precisa ou menos, né? Do que você precisa ou você quer. Nós usamos o to, então, significando demais, né? Dando essa ideia de que é mais do que você precisa ou você quer ou menos, né? Ok? Então, o too nós podemos usar juntamente com adjetivos, dando essa ideia too big, grande demais, too noisy, barulhento demais, mais do que você gostaria que fosse, né? Nós podemos também usar too much, né? Juntamente com substantivos incontáveis. Too much traffic, too much noise, né? Então, trânsito demais, o barulho demais. Também podemos usar aqui com too many, né? Nesse caso com substantivos contáveis, né? No plural. Too many tourists or too many cars, ok? Já o enough, aqui, there aren't enough parks and there aren't enough trees. O caso do enough, aqui seria suficiente. Então, aqui, por exemplo, there aren't enough parks, né? Não há parques o suficiente, não há árvores, né? O suficiente, ok? Agora, sobre o uso de enough, importante notar que nós vamos usar enough, então, antes de um substantivo, né? Que nem aqui no exemplo, there aren't enough trees, ok? Então, antes de um substantivo. E quando nós usamos aqui no caso com adjetivos, o enough deve vir depois, tá? After an adjective, aqui no caso. The buses don't run. Oh, sorry. The buses aren't frequent enough. Frequent enough. Então, o enough vem depois dos adjetivos e também depois de advérbios, né? The buses don't run frequently enough. Ok? Então, após os advérbios e adjetivos, ok? Now, zero quantity. Listen and repeat.
5.13. 1, There isn't any room in the car.
We don't have any eggs.
2, There's no room in the car.
We have no eggs.
3, How many eggs do we have?
None. I've used them all.
Ok? Então, agora para a quantidade zero. Nós vamos usar aqui, então, there isn't any room in the car. Não há nenhum, né? Nenhum espaço no carro. Room aqui é para espaço, tá? Então, nós vamos usar any com um substantivo. Any room para zero quantidade, tá? Com um verbo negativo. We don't have any eggs, né? Então, também não há nenhum... Nós não temos ovos, né? Nenhum ovo, ok? Usamos no juntamente com um substantivo em verbos afirmativos, né? Mas com um sentido negativo. There's no room in the car. We have no eggs. Lembrando que em inglês nós só podemos negar uma vez em uma frase. É por isso, então, que se eu usar o no, o meu verbo ele deve estar afirmando. Então, there is no room in the car. Nós temos, ó, no eggs, nenhum ovo, ok? Então, em inglês, nós só negamos uma única vez. E nós vamos usar o none, né? Sempre sem um substantivo em respostas curtinhas, né? Ó, how many eggs do we have? None. I've used them all. Então, nenhum. Não temos nenhum, né? Eu já usei todos eles. Ok? That's great. Now you will review all these instructions here and do these exercises. Let's start then with activity A. Circle the correct answer. Check if possible are correct. Great. Let's check your answers. Fantastic. Letter B. Check the correct sentences. Correct the mistakes in the highlighted phrases. Okay, checking your answers. Fabulous. Great. Go back to page 88 now. Let's start now with here, letter D. Are the sentences A and B true for you? Say, why not? Here in letter B, read again and say if they are true or false for you. Okay, pronunciation now. So be careful with the letters here, O-U-G-H and A-U-G-H. They can have different pronunciations, okay? Try to remember how to pronounce the most common words that have this combination of letters. For example, although, let's see. Write the words in the list in the correct column. Okay, so let's then check your answers.
5.14.
Up. Enough. Tough.
Saw. Awe. Bought. Brought. Caught. Cough. Daughter. Thought.
Phone. Although.
Cat. Laugh.
Boot. Ooh. Through.
Here we have the answers. Okay, so aw is the most common sound for these letters here. Okay, aw. Now, which four words finish with the sound F? Okay, so these are the words with the F sound in the end. Great. Okay, now you will listen to sentences 1 through 5 and you're going to practice saying them.
5.15. 1,
I thought I'd brought enough money with me.
2,
My daughter caught a bad cold.
3,
I bought it although it was very expensive.
4,
We've been through some tough times.
5,
I didn't laugh. It was a cough.
Fantastic. Now moving on to reading and speaking. Look at the title of the article. What do you think it means? Read the first paragraph to check. So here, information overload. Checking your answers. Okay, so now in B, you are going to read the whole article and choose A, B, or C for these questions below. Okay, let's check your answers. Great. And C, you will now read this article again and figure out the meaning of the highlighted words and phrases related to the internet and technology. Look up the words in a dictionary, okay? D, do you suffer from information overload in your own life? Talk about it. Talk about how information overload affects different parts of your life. You can write about that, okay? Great. So let's go on to next page. Vocabulary now. Vocabulary and pronunciation for electronic devices and phrasal verbs linking. A. Match the words and the picture. Pause the video and do it. Okay, let's then now check your answers. Repeat.
5.16. 1,
A switch.
2,
A plug.
3,
Headphones.
4,
A remote control.
5,
A screen.
6,
A keyboard.
7,
A mouse.
8,
A speaker.
9,
A flash drive.
10,
An adapter.
11,
A USB cable.
12.
An outlet.
Okay, so checking your answers. This is the order, okay, of the words. Test your memory now. Letter C, match the sentences. Okay, now let's listen and practice the pronunciation of the linking sounds for the phrasal verbs, okay?
5.17. 1. C. I changed the heat from 70 degrees to 62 degrees. I turned it down. 2. F.
I disconnected my iPod from the computer. I unplugged it.
3. D. I increased the volume on the TV. I turned it up. 4. A.
I pressed the off button on the TV. I switched it off.
5. G. I programmed the alarm on my phone. I set it for 7:30. 6. E.
I put my phone charger into an outlet. I plugged it in.
7. B. I pressed the on button on my laptop. I switched it on.
Great. Okay, so now listen and great. Okay, letter E. Listen and repeat A through G. Try to link the words. Now cover A through G and look at sentences and say A through G from memory. Listen and practice. Let's go.
5.18. A.
I switched it off.
B.
I switched it on.
C.
I turned it down.
D.
I turned it up.
E.
I plugged it in.
F.
I unplugged it.
G.
I set it for 7:30.
Fantastic. Practice again. Okay, now let's see some separable phrasal verbs here. Remember that many phrasal verbs are separable. For example, the object can go between the verb and the particle. Switch the TV on, or after the particle, switch on the TV. However, if the object is the pronoun, it must go between the verb and particle. For example, switch it on. Okay, so this is just a review. We have already learned this before. Okay, when we have here the object, it can be, we can use it between the verb and the particle of phrasal verbs. Okay, but whenever we use the object pronoun, we should always use it between the verb and the particle. With the noun, it can go in the middle, okay, between or after it, like here, switch on the TV. Okay. Now you answer these questions here and give your reasons for your answers. You can write them down in your notebook. Great. Now, next page, we have some listening and speaking. Look at the book cover and the book review information. What do you think the book is about? How do you think the three teenagers feel? So this is the book, and here we have the review. All right. Now, you will listen to part 1 of a radio breakfast show where the guests are discussing the book. You are going to answer questions 1 through 6, okay, for this first listening.
5.19. Part 1.
And now it's time for our book of the week, which is The Winter of Our Disconnect by Susan Moshart. Jeremy, to start with, it's a good title, isn't it?
Yes, amazing. And it was a fascinating experiment and a good read.
Tell us about it.
Well, Susan Moshart is a journalist who's raising 3 teenage children. She decided to do the experiment after reaching a point where she felt that the whole family, especially her children, were all living in their own little worlds, with headphones on, plugged into their laptops or their iPods or their smartphones, and that they weren't relating to the other people in the family.
So, it wasn't just her children who were permanently plugged into an electrical device.
Well, she admits that she herself was addicted to her phone and to her iPod and her laptop, and that she was constantly reading news sites and Googling information. But it was really her children who were totally dependent on new technology. In the book, she makes the interesting distinction between digital immigrants and digital natives.
What does that mean?
She describes herself as a digital immigrant. That's to say, someone who didn't grow up with digital technology, which is really anyone who was born before 1980. Her children are digital natives, which means that they were born after computers and the internet were already part of life.
Well, that's me then.
Yes. Well, the main difference, she says, is that digital immigrants use the technology to find information or to listen to music. But digital natives live and breathe the technology. So for them, living without it is like living without water, without electricity, in the Dark Ages.
What were the rules of the experiment?
The family had to live for 6 months without using any electrical gadgets in the house with a screen. So no smartphones, no TVs, no laptops or computers, no video consoles, and no iPods. They were allowed to use technology at school or at friends' houses or in internet cafes, and they were allowed to use landline phones. But everything else was switched off for the whole 6 months.
6 months? How on earth did she get the children to agree?
She bribed them. She told them that she was going to write a book about the experiment and that they would share in any profits that she made from the book.
Wow, that was very smart of her.
Great. So now answer these questions. Checking your answers. Fantastic. Now in letter C, you will listen to part 2. In general, was the experiment positive or negative, and why? Let's listen.
5.20. Part 2.
So, what were the results? Was it a positive experience?
At the end of the book, Susan says that it was a positive experience in every way. At first, of course, the kids complained bitterly. They kept saying they were bored. But then they started to talk to each other again, to go and sit in each other's rooms and talk. They got interested in cooking and reading. They went to the movies together. They played CDs on the CD player, and they actually sat and listened to the music instead of just having music on their headphones all the time as background music. And Susan's 15-year-old son started playing the saxophone again. He'd stopped playing a few years before, but then he started taking lessons again and even started giving concerts. Oh, and the children said that they slept better.
Oh, well, that's good, yeah. What about the children's schoolwork? I mean, nowadays we sort of assume that everyone needs the internet to do research for homework and so on.
In fact, the children's report cards showed that they all improved. When they needed the internet, they used the computers at school or at college. The eldest daughter was in college. Or they went to friends' houses. But when they did their homework, they did it better than before because they weren't multitasking. They weren't doing homework and listening to music and sending messages all at the same time. So they concentrated better and their schoolwork improved.
What about Susan, the mother? Did she find it difficult to live without modern technology?
What she found most difficult was writing her weekly article for the newspaper because she had to do it by hand and not on her laptop. She says that at the beginning her hand used to really ache. She just wasn't used to writing by hand anymore. But that was just a small problem.
Any other negatives?
Well, of course, the phone bill for their landline was huge.
Has the experiment had a lasting effect?
Susan says that it has. She thinks that they all get along much better as a family. Her son is still playing the saxophone, and he sold his video console. They've all realized that we live in a digital world, but that we need to disconnect from time to time and to reconnect with the people around us. So they have new rules in the house, like no TVs in bedrooms and no TV in the kitchen where they eat, and no wasted hours on the internet.
Sounds great. That would be a good rule for me, too.
Great. Listen again if necessary, and then answer the questions for C and D. Okay, checking your answers for C and also for D. Fantastic. Right. Now we will listen to letter E. Letter E is part 3 of this listening. What does each guest say he or she would miss most if he or she had to do the experiment? Let's listen and write down.
5.21. Part 3.
Okay, so imagine you all did the experiment. What would you miss the most? Sally?
Well, I already live without the internet many weekends because we have a house in the country in the middle of nowhere where there's no internet service. So I know that what I would miss most is being able to Google information, like the phone number of a restaurant or what time a movie starts, or even, dare I say it, the sports scores. I don't have a TV, so I wouldn't miss that, but I would miss not having the internet.
Andrew?
Well, I just couldn't live without a computer or a laptop because I work from home, so I don't have an office to go to, and I absolutely need the internet too. I couldn't do the experiment. I just wouldn't be prepared to go to an internet cafe all day to work. Susan, the journalist who did the experiment, only had to write 1 column a week. But I work from home 8 hours a day.
Jeremy?
I think I could do it. I think I could easily live without any of these electrical gadgets at home. I mean, I have my office, so I could use the internet there. I don't use an iPod. I still prefer to listen to CDs.
You old dinosaur.
Yes, I know. And I don't watch much TV. I am very attached to my BlackBerry, but I wouldn't mind using a regular phone for 6 months. I don't think there's anything I'd miss too much.
And finally, Chloe, our only digital native.
Well, I'm sorry, but I just wouldn't be prepared to even try the experiment, not even for a week, let alone 6 months. I wouldn't be prepared to live without my phone. I use it for everything. Calling, music, the internet. So no, I wouldn't do it.
Not even if you were offered money?
It would have to be a huge amount of money. No, I'm definitely not going to do it.
So let's check your answers. These are the answers. Okay. Great. Now, in letter F, we are going to get ready for this discussion in class, okay? So read these questions, answer them. We can use some useful language here. The thing I'd miss most is I can't live without it because I need it for, or I use it for, I'm addicted to it, I depend on it for. Okay, that's great. And then on page 120, we have a writing activity, writing a magazine article, advantages and disadvantages of smartphones, okay? So now, magazine article, advantages and disadvantages. You will read this article for a student magazine about the advantages and disadvantages of living without a TV. The computer has found 10 mistakes, okay? Grammar, vocabulary, punctuation, and spelling. Can you correct them? Okay, let's check your answers. These are the answers, okay? Great. So now, in B, read this article again and cover it. And in pairs, answer the questions from memory. Okay, let's check your answers. Great. Now, moving on to next page, you are going to write a similar article about smartphones. First, you are going to make a list of the advantages and disadvantages here of a smartphone. Great. Now, you will decide which are the 3 biggest advantages and number them 1 through 3. The biggest is number 1 and the least is number 3. Do the same with the disadvantages. So before we get to it, we have this box with some useful languages. Writing about advantages and disadvantages. So here, first, you have here listing advantages. So firstly or first, second, and third. When you list these advantages, you can use on the other hand. There are also some disadvantages. For instance, or for example, they are the same, okay? Also, and then we have the conclusion, or in conclusion to, or to sum up, I think. Okay, so now using this info box, you are going to write an article called Smartphones, a Great Invention. Then you start the article with this introduction here. You will write 3 more paragraphs, And you are going to plan what you're going to write, okay, using what is given here. Check it, your article for possible mistakes. And remember, you can send it to me so I can check it out, check it for you and give you a feedback, okay? That's great. So that's it. Now we go to the workbook so you can do some exercises, pages 59 through 61. I will play now the listening activity so you can do it, okay? Let's listen to it.
File 9B. Listening.
Good afternoon. Can I help you?
Oh, hello. Yes. I need to ask you about Wi-Fi access in the hotel. I have some work to do while I'm here, so I'm going to need an internet connection.
Well, there's a Wi-Fi hotspot in the lobby of the hotel, and all of the rooms have Wi-Fi.
Great. And how much does it cost?
It's free in the lobby, but we charge for the Wi-Fi access in the rooms. Are you interested in our standard connection, or would you prefer our advanced service?
What's the difference?
The standard service is available for a flat fee of $10 per day. However, it can be a little bit slow because everyone in the hotel uses it. We have a higher level service for our guests who need a faster and more reliable connection.
And how much is that?
It's 25 cents per minute.
That could get pretty expensive if I use it all evening.
Not really, sir. The maximum charge is $30 for 24 hours.
I see. So how would that work? Would I have to pay $30 today and another $30 tomorrow?
No. The 24-hour period begins from when you checked in.
Great. I'd like the advanced service then. Oh, and one more question. What do I need to log on to your Wi-Fi?
Just a moment. Could you give me your name and room number?
It's Gray. Barry Gray. I'm in room 302.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Here's your Wi-Fi pack, which has the name of the connection, here, and here's your password. Please try to keep it safe so that nobody else can use it. You checked in at 10 after 3 today, so the connection will last until the same time tomorrow afternoon.
Great. Is that all I need?
Yes, it is.
Thanks a lot for your help.
You're welcome.
Great. So that's it. Thank you for watching. Do your exercises, and if you need help, I'm here. Thank you. See you next video.